Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. Welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So this week, these are old stories because thankfully it's something I haven't had to do in a long time. But yes, there were times in my life where I had to take the bus. Now I know some of you are thinking like, oh, I used to take the bus all the time as a kid. If you've never ridden a city bus, it's way different than the school bus. Way different. Some of you thinking, well, yeah, there's no bullies on there. They are. They're just different. But no, when I first became an adult, I thought the same thing. I didn't have a car. Sometimes my parents couldn't let me use theirs, so I was like, I'll just do that. I'll just take the bus. And I learned very quickly that there are only two kinds of people that take the bus. Those who can't drive because they don't have a car, and those who can't drive because they're too freaking insane. And what's crazy to me is how you'll meet that insanity usually just at the bus stop. Like I remember years ago, I'm sitting at a bus stop, I'm waiting for my bus so I can get to work. And this guy comes up in a Dracula costume. Now, it wasn't Halloween, wasn't even close. It was June. It was blistering hot outside, and he is in a full-on Dracula costume. The cape, the white shirt, the black vest with the red inlining, the little red necklace with the little totem at the end, liquid white paper face. Only thing missing was he didn't have fangs. But he comes over to the bus stop, sits down next to me, and I just sat there, what I always do in situations where I'm going to be around people and I don't want to talk. I was reading a book. And as I'm reading a book, he goes, "Excuse me, is the number 11 bus going to be here soon?" And my first thought was, you're really just going to try and have a conversation with me and not address the fact that you look like Dracula right now? But I decided to be polite and just answer him. Yeah, that's the one I'm waiting on. It should be here in a few minutes. He says thank you and just sits there, and it's driving me nuts. Like, dude, if you're going to sit there and be dressed that way and then want to talk to me, explain this. So I politely asked, hope you don't mind me asking, but, why are you dressed like that? Like, are you going to a costume party later today or something? No, this is just how I dress. That didn't make me feel better. What? I like vampires. So much so that in my heart, I believe I am a vampire. So this is how I present myself to the world. You may be wondering, did I regret asking him? Yeah. Why? Is that so weird? I mean, whatever. Not hurting anybody, I guess. At least I hope you're not. I'm not. I know, as much as I may feel like it, I'm not a real vampire. Okay, good. There's that. But I'm not going to pretend I get this. I understand being a fan of something so much that you want to express it. I have a bunch of t-shirts for like movies, comic books, and stuff like that I like, but there's one thing for me to like comic books, it's a whole nother thing for me to go around my daily life dressed as Batman. Well, this is me. And I'm out job hunting today. And if a place of employment will not accept that this is how I dress, then that place of employment is not for me. You know, I can't see into the future, but I'm guessing he didn't get hired anytime soon after that. But that's not even one of the worst I got just at the bus stop. Another time, a while later, sitting there with a book which screams, "Don't talk to me." And while I was reading a book and we were waiting on a bus stop, me and some other guy who wasn't talking to me, so that was nice, until a girl walked by. And I was single at the time, and I will admit, this was a very attractive woman. But I did what a functional male does when a very attractive woman walks by. As she walked by, I did this. Like most of us who are sane, I glanced over and then moved on with my day. It was such a common thing that I wouldn't even remember this incident if it wasn't for the guy next to me, who, out of my peripherals, I could see did not just glance at her, but more looked at her like... And then after that, looked over at me as if I would want to be in this conversation, said, "Dude, the things I would do to her." Now, in my head, what I said was, okay, that gives off a little bit of a rapey vibe. Out loud, I just said, okay. Yeah, I would tear that apart. In my head, okay, this is really creepy, but out loud. Cool. She would never be able to look herself in the mirror again. This time I didn't keep it in my head. Okay, dude, I get it. You can stop now. What's your problem? My problem is that I'm just trying to read my book and wait for the bus, and instead I'm sitting here talking to what sounds like a frickin' serial killer. Hey, we're just guys here. Yeah, dude, I don't know you well enough to be having this kind of a conversation with you. And honestly, even if one of my guy friends said the same stuff you said, I'd be saying, dude, you sound like a serial killer. Well, excuse me. You're not excused. Just be quiet. Thank you. Now, some of you are being like, what if he got violent with you? This guy wasn't intimidating. He honestly looked like a less intimidating Jonah Hill. But now, the worst part is the person you deal with on the bus. Most times you get on the bus, it'll be okay. Most of us understand the unwritten rules that are basically like the same rule as the urinals in a public bathroom. With taking a seat, kind of like the urinals, not right next to somebody. Unless it can't be avoided. Kind of like when you go into a bathroom. If there's 3 stalls there and nobody's using any, you go to one of the ones on the end, you do not go in the middle. If you walk in and there happens to be 2 on each end, then you go use the friggin' stall. You don't go for that middle stall until you have no choice. But you get people who act like they don't understand these rules. What's even worse is when you go somewhere where it's got like 5 or 6 stalls and they still stand next to you. If you do that to me, I will pee on your foot. The bus, though, it's kind of the same thing. You pick a seat, not sitting next to anybody, unless you can't avoid it. And everybody else understands that, except for the people like the weirdo who stands next to you at the urinal. Crackheads. And for some reason, crackheads love to talk. I've never met a crackhead who's quiet and keeps to themselves. And I've met a lot of crackheads. I've never met that junkie who just sits there, tweaks, and leaves everybody else alone. No. For some reason, crackheads think that they have the most interesting things to say, and everybody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to be their friend. So a crackhead does not care about the unwritten rules. They will not sit by themselves. They will find somebody and sit next to them, and they will yak their freaking ear off about nothing. Sometimes you literally can't understand a word they're saying. Like one time some crackhead guy sat next to me, starts talking. To this day I have no idea what, because all I was hearing was, man, you know, I'm just saying, man, and I'll tell you, man, when my ship comes in, because, you know, all evil, and then my ship comes in. Before this day, I didn't know anybody still used the phrase, when my ship comes in. What ship he was talking about? No clue. Because I couldn't understand his rants and ravings. He didn't give me a moment to ever say anything. So I just sat there reading my book and occasionally going, yeah. Yeah. And he did not notice I was not paying attention to him. But I remember one time in particular. A female crackhead came in. And she looked right at me, so I knew she was going to sit next to me. I might as well have just pointed to her like... But she did. She sat right next to me. Hey, man. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you. You like muffins? No. Really? No, don't like muffins. Now some of you right now, you're like, wait, what? How do you not like muffins? Of course I like muffins. What's not to like? It's like a little cake I can have for breakfast. I just said that because whatever she wanted to talk about, I wasn't interested. And I was really hoping that that would deter her from continuing this conversation with me. Learn from my mistakes. It doesn't work. Well, I'm gonna open me a muffin shop someday. Cool. Yeah, we gonna sell all kinds of muffins. Cool. Muffins you never heard of. Muffins you can't get anywhere else. Great. Like, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. I got this one idea. It's a muffin with cranberry and oranges. Cranberry and orange. Specifically mandarin orange. Even at this point, this was well over a decade ago. Was still very easy to find. Like, so easy to find that you didn't have to go to a Starbucks or any kind of a bakery to find it. Kind of like now, you can find it at pretty much any grocery store that sells packs of muffins. But I'm not going to engage. So I just looked at her and went, Well, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. A muffin with both cinnamon and raisins. Again, that's been out for a very long time. But again, there's no point in engaging this person. Well, let me ask you. I know you don't like muffins. And yet that didn't deter her from talking to me about muffins. But you like pumpkin? At this point, it just became very apparent. She was not going to take the hint. The fact that I'm barely talking back. The fact that I lied to her and told her I don't like muffins. Wasn't getting her to leave me alone. Meant I was going to have to do things the hard way. And be honest. Let me guess. Pumpkin muffins? Maybe with some cream cheese? Hey, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Yeah, it is. So good that they started coming out with those every fall. Really? Yes, really. Everything you're talking about has already been invented. Cranberry mandarin muffins have been around for quite a while. They're delicious. Cinnamon raisin muffins have been around for quite a while. Not really big on them, but they've been around. Pumpkin cheesecake muffins come out once a year. I buy them all the time. Well, hey, I thought you said you didn't like muffins. I was lying because I didn't want to talk to you. And I was hoping you'd get the hint, which apparently you're not. I didn't want to sit here and listen to your ideas about muffins that have already been invented. You didn't come up with one original thing. Like, I don't know, a chocolate bacon muffin. Or a key lime strawberry muffin. Or a peanut butter and banana muffin. Admit, all of those sound delicious. No, you're sitting here freaking assaulting my ear by telling me a bunch of crap I don't care about because, like a typical junkie, you don't get when somebody doesn't want to talk to you. From there, she just sat there mumbling, ranting, got up, went somewhere closer to the back of the bus, sat next to somebody else, and without them saying a word, basically just sat there very loudly talking about what an a-hole I was. And then finally we got to my bus stop, and I got up, and I didn't look behind me, but just looking around me, everybody was giving me the same look of, thanks, dude. But hey, if I gotta suffer, y'all gotta suffer. So yeah, that's my story this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications for when I post new videos. And leave a comment I can respond to in my next comment corner. Give me some other bus stories you may have. Love you guys.